Okay, so great. On today's panel today, we have two amazing presenters. Aniket in goal. Apologies if I've kind of presented that incorrectly, Aniket. And we've got Holly Smith. So Aniket is a master's student studying environmental engineering planning management. His research regarding household unit for organic waste management will explore the project Superbin, which patent application is filed in India. Organic waste is the main constitute of the overall waste collected by the city's municipal operation. So really looking forward to hearing about that, Annika, in a moment. Holly is studying for a BSc Environmental Science and will share her work on the evaluation of the university's biodiversity monitoring project. She'll present an overview of the evaluation of the pollinator monitoring project and led to much wider objectives focusing on biodiversity. So welcome everybody. So without further ado, and I'll stop rambling, we'll hand over to our first speaker, Aniket. If you have any questions, again, reminder that to drop those in the chat or hold on to them till the end of kind of presentations, and we'll have a good kind of discussion there. So thank you, and over to you, Aniket. Are you there, Aniket?
Yes, I'm just sharing my presentation.
Marvelous.
Uh, can everyone see my presentation?
Yes, that's looking great there.
Yeah. So greetings for the day, wherever you might be situated, dignitaries and all my dear friends. I'm Aniket Ravindra Ingole from University of Leeds, doing masters in environmental engineering and project management, along with my colleague Suved, who is doing a BSc in computer science from HGBU. We both had invented this system. Its name is Superbean, which is the ultra fast system for organic waste management. So talking about the organic waste is the any kind of material waste which comes from the plants and animal and which can be decomposed and converted into the compost by the microbes. And from the organic waste, we get the we can get the CO2, methane, compost, NPK, micronutrients, and everything we can get from the organic waste. And talking about the amount of organic waste, throughout the world, we had seen that 30 to 40% of our total waste is consisting of the organic waste. And talking about the India, it's up to 60%. So by this figure, you will come to know that the majority of our constituent waste is the organic waste, and we really need to work on this waste management. So, talking about the organic waste constituent, it can be the waste from our kitchens, vegetable waste from waste from the vegetable markets and fruit markets and agricultural waste. All this comes under the organic waste. So now I would like to share the survey details of which we had conducted in 2018. I had conducted a survey to get the data of the amount of organic waste in my city. We went to 200 houses in my city and collected the data from that 200 houses, and we have come to know that our 60% of our waste was the organic waste. And talking about the organic waste management, as we all know that the organic waste management process is pretty lengthy and it takes around 20 to 30 days to convert it into the compost. And apart from this, we need a huge piece of land for the setup of the plant, which converts the organic waste into the compost. And the local people generally don't like the organic waste plant near to their homes. And a few major problems were those are expenditure. So expenditure, the majority of our expenditure goes on this organic waste management. So we need to focus on this all the kinds of problems. So talking about my city, 60 lakh 30,000 Indian rupees were spent monthly for the management of the waste. So you by this figure you will come to know that how much huge amount of our amount of our taxes goes in this waste. So we really need to focus on the organic waste management. As we know, as we all know that Sustainable Development Goals 12 says that we need to protect our environment, convert all our waste into the compost, and focuses on the waste management. So in 2018, the idea had came into my mind that why don't we have the system which can be installed in the home, and we can put our organic waste generated from our home into that system and get the compost with a short span of time. And apart from this, we had focused on the financial factor, means that system should be affordable and every section of the society can afford it. And the product which comes out from the system should possesses the quality, and it should contain the micronutrients, and it should be the friendly for the user also, and for the applicant also it should be the friendly. So this is from the right hand corner, you can see the system which was developed by me, and I had filed a patent in India for this product. We can put all our waste into this organic waste into this from the top of that chamber, and the machine runs for the 1 minute. And after a run of 1 minute, it converted all our organic waste into the raw compost. And talking about the storage, from the bottom right corner, you can see my system in which we can put the raw compost for as a storage. Since the people don't have the time daily to take that compost to apply it to the plant or to sell it, so they can store everything their product raw compost into this chamber, and enhance the it helps the further enhancement of nitrogen, potassium, sulfates and micronutrients into this compost. And I can say that it is the fastest method to convert the organic waste into the compost. It takes generally only 1 minute. And talking about the cost, it's cost only 10,000 Indian rupees, which is almost 100 GBP. So the compost which obtained from our super bean has been tested into the various environmental laboratories. We got a good kind of result in the enhancement of nitrogen, potassium, and also the micronutrients. And especially the pH of that compost was maintained to 7 to 7.5. And as you can see the photo from which we can clearly see the quality of the compost which comes out from that system. And talking about the application, we can apply this super bean in the various types of places like hotels where they are generated lots of food waste, in educational institute where students can put their food waste into that, in agricultural purposes where the residue from the plant can directly put up into the super bin and we can get the compost from it, in shopping complex, in offices, individual houses, and everything, every place where the organic waste is generated, there we can there we can put this super bin system and get directly converted our organic waste into the compost. This will save our collection cost, transportation cost, segregation cost, and the treatment cost. So every these four major costs which the municipality corporation has been spending on the management can be saved, and further that amount can be used for the other development purposes. So this much benefits we can have having this unit at our home and at this institute. So this will save the cost. We can get the revenue by selling the compost to the people, and it can be the revenue generation unit also. You can get the amount by selling those compost, and this much benefits we have by simply just installing this unit at our home. So it was a very creative idea, and from 2018 I was started working and doing all my research and putting all that mechanics and into this single unit and working on the conversion of organic waste into the compost. So thank you for listening my presentation, and the questions are welcome. If you have any question, you can freely ask me.
Thank you, Aniket. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Can we leave kind of questions and answers to the end? So kind of, yeah, hold that thought or drop it in the chat if you've kind of got a a question for Aniket. So I'd like to hand over to our second and final speaker, who is Holly. Holly, would you like to kind of share your presentation slides and hand over to you?
Yeah, I'm just doing that now. It's a bit laggy, sorry. There we go. Let me know when you can see them.
Yep, you're fine there, Holly.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, hi, so I'm Holly Smith. I am third year, well, just finished my third year actually of my environmental science degree. And I've been working for what was originally the pollinator monitoring project since my first year. We set it up and it's obviously evolved, and that's kind of what I wanted to go over today, the evolution and how it's become the biodiversity monitoring project. So I'll just run through all that with you now. Slide doesn't want to change, sorry. There we go, sorry about that. So I'll just give a little overview of the project and where it sort of stemmed from. So we've got the Living Lab. They use the world as a whole as a test bed. So not just you use laboratory for different experiments, we actually use the environment and the university's campus specifically. And we were looking at the pollinators originally. So we started by mapping out transects and collecting all this data. And the Living Lab has lots of other projects around campus. So there's one to do with trees and other sort of wellbeing, sustainability and biodiversity projects that they run as well. So as we started with pollinators, I'll give you a bit of information as to why. So pollinators are really important. We rely on them for reproduction of plant species. So almost 80% of plant species are pollinated by pollinators, bees, and things like that. 35% of the global agricultural production is specifically from pollinators and not done manually by humans. So that is a large amount of agriculture produced for our consumption. And in the UK, that's 20.4% of all of our crops. So it's very important for us to be able to secure pollinators as a species because they directly influence our livelihoods and our ability to live like we do and how we do. Unfortunately, pollinators are in decline. So there's been a total loss of 35.8% of colonies, and that was recorded in 2007. Since then, I believe we have had a further decrease, and the capacity for pollinators to do what they do has reduced as well. So not just are we losing pollinators, but their ability to be able to pollinate is being impacted as well. And that's a really shocking, really strange thing to be happening. And we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to protect them. And upon looking into different research areas, it was found that urban areas actually support pollinators very well. They provide a really crucial role, and they do help them be able to sustain a particular abundance. Lots of species have a similar interaction with urban areas, and pollinators were found to be one. And because is the urban area, we're sort of at the end of a large green space around the Pennines. So we are this kind of intersection between a larger urban area and that more open rural space. So it's really important that we try and use the campus to protect pollinators. Now, originally, as I said, we just started with pollinators, and the impact that we had was really good. Unfortunately, we weren't able to collect as much data as hoped. In the initial stages, we were just sort of setting things up, getting the ball rolling, and the beginning of a project, which I didn't know at the time and now do, seems to be a bit slow going, but we managed to get things set up. And then unfortunately, we had the pandemic hit. So we weren't allowed to obviously go outside. No one was allowed to go outside unless they had to. And we had a massive hit on us being able to collect this data. Now, because I've been on the project since its start, I didn't want to let any of our hard work fall by the wayside, and so we thought about expanding. We'd already done a bird walk for Let Nature Sing just before the pandemic happened, and we wanted to make sure that we had a really good group, a really good project to go back to once we were able to go outside and monitor again. So from there, we looked at different species that needed our help, and we expanded. So first of all, I'll go into hedgehogs. This actually was really fun. It was done through a conference I went to, and one of the speakers was Jo Wilkinson from Hedgehog Friendly Campus. She was talking about the importance of hedgehogs and all the work they do as an initiative with university campuses to try and give them the resources, the help, training, etc. that they need to make their campus hedgehog friendly. And then upon looking more into it, you can really see why we'd want to focus on hedgehogs. So they have become a vulnerable species listed by the IUCN Red List in the UK. So they are vulnerable to extinction, and they've declined by about 46% over 13 years. So that's a massive decrease. I mean, if you do that again, you're just going to keep knocking on the effect, and they could go extinct, or at least be moved to a much higher status of threatened by extinction. And the reasons for the decline are quite varied, but a lot of it will be because of habitat fragmentation and urbanisation. As we increase our impact and our changing of land use, we will impact the number of roads, which causes a lot of roadside casualties. I'm sure, sadly, a lot of you will have seen hedgehogs by the side of the road. And then just have a habitat loss in general. Every time we change these habitats around, or these spaces around for different land use, we knock off a bit of their habitat. And we need to make sure that if they're coming into urban areas, which we are finding more and more that they are, that the habitat is suitable for them to use, even if it's just as a walk through for them to get to another bit of more suitable habitat, that we've got that, it's called a hedgehog highway, for them to get through to be able to still stay in that suitable habitat. So that was our first expansion, and it was really fun. We've done some training. We've managed to get some stickers for the streamers that they use on campus for the grounds team when they're making things all neat and tidy and pretty. And yeah, we did training, and we got the grounds team to go through training as well, just to make sure that we don't unwantingly damage or hurt these hedgehogs in any way. Another one was birds. As I mentioned, we did Let Nature Sing, which was just a day of going out and doing a bird survey for the RSPB. And then from there, we thought, well, it's really important that we look at birds as well, because once again, they are a declining species, and they do play an essential role in the functioning of the world's ecosystems. So they work as a natural pest control, as well as they are pollinators, although we do have a category for pollinators on the project. They are separate, just they massively work completely differently and much bigger size, etc. And you survey them differently. So, but they do spread seeds and disperse them in their droppings. So they are in a way functioning part of that sort of plant life cycle. So yeah, so with those, we wanted to make sure that we were protecting things from this kind of standpoint as something that's in decline, and that plays a vital function, and that also is very present in urban areas. There'd be no point doing things that are only present in rural areas at the University of Leeds, because we are an urban campus. So that's the three sort of key things that I think we started to learn were the picking up points for different species monitoring. So those are the ones I mentioned before. And then the last one is bats. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do much with bats as of yet, but we are looking to run some bat transit walks soon, so that'll be really cool. And once again, same reasons as I just mentioned, those three key things: that they are in decline in the UK, that they do have an important role in ecosystem functioning. With bats, I think with birds as well, that's a key thing to mention. They are an indicator species. So if we see a large decline in them, we know that the habitat there is becoming unsuitable because they can migrate further more easily than other species can. If a habitat starts to degrade and starts to become unsuitable for species to live in, they will leave first. So it's a good way of us knowing the UK is starting to get in trouble and it's starting to have more of a degraded habitat structure. So we want to make sure that we foster a better habitat structure, obviously. So we did this through monitoring and surveying, as I've mentioned, to begin with, like I said, with the pollinators on their own and then slowly expanding into more. We've only run a couple of bird transects and stopping point counts, and we haven't done any hedgehog or bat yet, but we are looking to do those very, very soon. We, as I said, do the transects, which are 1 kilometre. We've got 3 across campus, and then we've got fit counts that can be used for their flower insect time counts. So they're used for monitoring pollinators. But we've also now started doing footprint tunnels, or they'll be put out very soon. So we'll have footprint tunnels soon, which will be the equivalent of a fit count for hedgehogs. They work really well. So they basically have a charcoal base and then a bit of cat food at the end because they really like that. And as they walk over the charcoal to the cat food, they then leave their little paw prints on a piece of paper. So we then check and see if we've had them come by. Obviously, we may pick up other things like cats and rats and things like that, but it all adds to our database and our wealth of knowledge about what's on campus. And then we've got stopping points for birds, which is just a specific point that you would stop to do a similar thing like a fit count. With the bat ones, we actually have specific bat recording devices. So they record the sound of a bat and then they'll tell us what species it is. So they're quite cool, and that gives us like an extra like depth to the data that we've got for them. But yeah, that's the methods and the equipment that we kind of use, and we are really excited to get out and do more monitoring and surveying, especially now that we've got some nice lovely weather. So I'll just talk a bit through the pilot data that we've got. As I mentioned, we haven't been able to collect as much data as we would have liked to. So we've had to play around with potential sort of uses and visualizations for data once we've got a bit more. So we're using ArcGIS software to create a map. So this is a map of St George's Field. The lines going around sort of the faint purple colour is the exact transect that was walked from data taken from Strava, which is what we use when we're walking around to make sure we're keeping the right pace and going on the right path. And then these purple circles are the counts. So the bigger the circle, the more of that sort of, well, pollinators this was for, the more pollinators were seen in that area. And what we're hoping to then happen is have, as we go out and do more surveys, these purple circles will grow and we will isolate hotspots. The hotspots will give us an indication that these are more ideal for pollinator foraging and habitat suitability. So we'll know that those habitats should be replicated to create corridors. So biodiversity corridors help species be able to move easily through different habitat types, especially in urban areas, and still be able to maintain the right level of foraging so they can be healthy. So we want to make sure that we do that across campus as best that we can. So it's constantly updating and informing the biodiversity action plan, and giving more information to filter down to our grounds teams, as well as coordinating with residences, as the residences have recently uptaken a similar project to this. So we can try and coordinate and make Leeds a really happy and healthy place for species and especially pollinators to live. So further evolution of this is something that I'm very, very proud of. We've actually begun an international collaboration initiative. So this will be University of Leeds led, which is brilliant. It means that we're at the forefront. We're the ones sort of planning and getting the ball rolling on this international group of people who want to better biodiversity and continue biodiversity monitoring. So currently we've had involvement through Penn State University's Sustainability Institute. So they're a group that arranged the Club of Rome, which is a UN initiative. I've managed to speak to them and they're extremely happy to help coordinate with the Club of Rome and directly with their campus. We've had contact from the University of Hull and Kingston Moorwood College. I've been directly in contact with one of the lecturers there, and he's really, really keen to get this filtered out there. That is less of a, well, it's a rural campus there. It's down in the south, I think near Devonshire. And yeah, that would be really good to do because it could give us a bit of contrast between urban monitoring areas and then rural monitoring areas, and we could create a larger, wider network for the monitoring and surveying to happen. So the reason the Club of Rome network is such a great resource for us to use is that there are 75 different countries represented with over 200 participants. They range from people who are in university like myself to people who are working in the field, people working for universities, and they're all young people who are looking to come together to work to make a better future and a better world. So they're perfect to be able to hopefully take up the biodiversity monitoring project in their own areas, and we're trying to facilitate that as best we can, give them the tools they need, run workshops, and even create a committee that we can share ideas through, that we can further development of the project, and we can also potentially write publications and have our own little conferences as well. So that would be really fun to do, and I'm hoping that more of that will happen once I hand over to someone else next year. So yeah. And then finally, just a little bit of information about the biodiversity monitoring group. So this is the one that's specific to the University of Leeds. This is on Facebook, and the group has grown massively during lockdown. We're now up to about just over 40 members, I think. We've got volunteers and ambassadors in the working group. There is a distinction, so ambassadors are just more involved in the project. Volunteers can kind of dip in and out as they want to, and you do get sort of more responsibility and recognition when you progress up to an ambassador. So that's what I was when I originally started, before moving to the project manager. So we've also had a really good amount of staff involvement in the biodiversity monitoring group. So we've had lots of different staff who've taken people on transects, done ID skills workshops. We've got, hopefully next year, one of the lecturers who will help with data analysis to try and come up with a more streamlined and a better way for us to analyse the data that we've collected. And then we've obviously got things like this, so people being able to work at projects and to shadow different staff at the university and be able to sort of gain skills and knowledge that way. So it's not only a really good project for the world, for biodiversity as a whole, but it's also really good for the staff and the students that are involved, because it gets them connecting and talking, and it gives students these invaluable skills that they wouldn't have had otherwise. So if anyone would like to get involved with this, it's not just students at the University of Leeds that we would like to see represented within our working group and within our wider international committee. So if you want to participate in any of the surveying, monitoring, any skills development that you'd like to see yourself getting, if you want to present, if you want to do anything like that, either send an email to biodiversity@leeds.ac.uk. You can join our working group and send me a message on there, or you can email me directly. Any of those are absolutely fine, and I would love to see more people coming along. We've already grown loads, but it would be really great to see us grow even more and get a lot more biodiversity monitoring done. But yeah, those are the contact details there. If you need a minute to take a picture, or I don't know if the slides are being sent around after, if so, then that will work too. But yeah, thank you very, very much, and yeah, I hope to see you potentially soon. Bye.
Thank you, Holly. Amazing. Thank you. Really interesting stuff there. If my maths is correct, we've got quite a lot of time, about half an hour for questions and answers. If anybody would like to kind of throw a question to either Holly or Aniket? Has anyone got any questions? If you're feeling shy, just drop it in the chat. That's absolutely fine. Just pop that open so I can see it. I have a few questions if that's okay, guys. Aniket, first to you, please, because you spoke first. How can we create better relationships with these waste management institutions to create a better waste management disposal system?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat your question?
No problem at all, Aniket. I was just wondering about how we might create a better relationship with some of these waste management institutions, so kind of we can create a better waste kind of management disposal system.
Actually, we had tried in here in India to go into the incubation center and to develop our system, but the response was not good. So we keep on the hold. In future, I'm like to tap with some kind of institution and work more on this project and to get this done perfectly.
Okay, fantastic, great. Holly, you covered quite a lot of the kind of questions I had in mind. It was quite a thorough presentation, but what next steps for the project? What are your thoughts on that?
So at the moment, we just want to get people out and surveying. I mean, every time I look out the window and I see the beautiful weather, I'm like, come on, people, go and do something. It's perfect weather to go and monitor the species. But also, I really want to get the ball rolling on the international collaboration project. We've managed to get, like I said, some involvement already, but we still have a lot of these sort of infrastructure stuff to set up and things like that. So I really want to, I'm only with the group now until the end of July. Sad, crying. But I really want to try and get that kind of rolling and moving a bit more before I go. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it could have been absolute sad loss to the project with you leaving, Holly. We're absolutely going to miss you. Has anyone got any interest in kind of joining the biodiversity project group? Is that something kind of people would be interested in doing? Has anyone got any questions about kind of how, you know, what it might entail? Hang on, let's check the chat. Yeah, for sure, from Ishwarya. Great. I'm sure you'd be welcome to the project.
Definitely. We've had lots of new people join recently, and they've all been welcomed along. They've all come along to their first Transact walk. They've done some ID skills sessions, so there's a lot to get on with. If you're just wanting to do the monitoring, fine. If you want to do more than that, brilliant. We've got a new volunteer who's just said that they're happy to present. So it's really good to get stuck in and get involved. Yeah.
It sounds great. I don't know why I haven't signed up sooner, but I'm for one will be signing up, and I think colleague Kelly's really interested in signing up too. So
I've already heard from Kelly. She's very excited she's moving obviously to new university, so she'll be getting all of them involved in it as well. So we have a little group in Leeds all working on biodiversity monitoring.
Absolutely, that would be fantastic. I think Suel's dropped a kind of question in the chat.
Yes.
Aniket, any plans to commercialize your invention? It would really improve how we are able to manage waste at home and other accommodation facilities.
Yeah, I know that I have the everything my commercialization plan ready with me. But since due to the economic crisis here in India, I was unable to set up the project in the nearest to the MIDC. So now I'm looking forward to set up some kind of production unit in the UK, and there I can run this project on the as a prototype and as a pilot project. And I had dropped this project details to my professor and mentor, so they can I can get some kind of help in incubating this idea and turning it into the commercial project. So apart from this, right now I was busy in the advanced waste management system, which works on the this kind of plastic waste, and we can get the fuels and all kind of other byproducts from the plastic waste. So I was working on busy on that project.
Does that answer your question, Sewell?
Basically, my field was related to waste management.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Does any great? Yeah, that answers a question. Has anyone got any kind of last minute thoughts, questions for our amazing presenters this morning, or any kind of general observations? Anything would be appreciated. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. No, great. So, thank you everybody for joining us this morning. I'm hoping you're going to kind of be joining us for sessions that continue for the rest of the day. If not, reminder that we will be kind of sharing kind of the recording, so you can catch up with those later. Again, thank you once again to our speakers, Annika and Holly. Thank you very much. Really interesting stuff. If you kind of if you want to visit our website, sustainability@leeds.ac.uk, lots of information going to be shared through those channels. And if you're not following our kind of social media channels, I'll just pop the links up quickly for you. So those are all, it's all the usual stuff: Facebook, Twitter, Insta. Our email address, any questions, thoughts, observations. If you just want to get involved with sustainability, drop us a line. Always happy to hear from you. So thank you again for everybody for attending, and to our speakers. And I hope you have a really great time for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bye.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Have a great day.